Well, joining us now from Westminster, as you saw, is Home Secretary Theresa May. So suddenly so much focus on women in politics, either as leaders or MPs or wives. But of course, you've been involved for nearly 2 decades. Did you find it almost annoying and frustrating that suddenly people have noticed that women have a part to play?
Well, I think people have been noticing the women for some time now, actually, Kate. Obviously, because there's an election campaign on, there's been a particular focus on it. But you're right, and I've been heavily involved, obviously, over the years, in trying to ensure that there are more women in Parliament, particularly, obviously, for the Conservative Party. And we've got some great women and some great women sitting around the Cabinet table. Nicky Morgan, Liz Truss, Esther McVey. So women really are coming to the fore.
Talking of coming to the fore, David Cameron was talking recently about the fact that he wouldn't contest a third term, and in terms of tipping leadership potential candidates, you were one of those that he tipped. How did you feel when he said that?
Well, I think the key thing is that David was absolutely clear that he's going to carry on in a second term. I want to see him back in number 10 Downing Street after May the 7th, and I want that because I think it's the Conservative Party and David Cameron who've got the plan for the future that can build on the long-term economic plan that's already showing some success. But, you know, we mustn't throw away all the good that has happened. We need to build on that for the future and take it forward, and it's Conservatives and David Cameron who have the plan to do that and to secure our future.
Of course, and you would be looking at that with the election just a month away. But looking to 2020, were you flattered that you might be there as a leader?
Well, no, I think what David was saying was that there was a wide variety of people within the party, but what is absolutely clear is that there's only one contest at the moment. There's only one contest that matters, and that's on the 7th of May.
He wasn't saying that. He was picking 3 names, and you were one of them that he said was a rising star and could be leader. He specifically said that.
Well, Kate, I'm focused on the key issue at the moment, which is what's going to happen on the 7th of May. Over the next few weeks, I'm going to be fighting hard, as others will be, to see a majority Conservative government elected, because, as I say, I think that's best for the country. I think it's only the Conservatives that can actually secure our future.
So you're talking about getting a majority, of course, which is something that everybody's very nervous about, whether we're going to have that situation or not. Nicola Sturgeon, of course, another very strong woman in politics, came out very well in the debates. Clearly, it feels like the SNP are going to have a role to play in the next government. Could you see the two parties working together in some capacity, if not necessarily in a coalition, but in some capacity on some issues?
Well, I think Nicola Sturgeon has made very clear, and we're very clear, that there isn't any question of the Conservatives and the SNP working together. But I think what is clear is that if Labour get into government, it's likely to be on the backs of the SNP, and with Nicola Sturgeon and Alex Salmond playing a key role and calling the tune.
Is she someone you could do business with?
Well, she's a politician who, I think, crucially, what we saw from the leadership debate last week was not about her performance, but about what she was saying. And what is very clear is that Ed Miliband could get into number 10 Downing Street on the coattails of Alex Salmond and Nicola Sturgeon. And I think that's a real concern for people. And I've had people saying that to me on the doorstep, that they're really worried. They're worried about a Labour government. They're worried about what they would do in terms of putting up taxes. But they're also worried about the SNP potentially calling the tune for a Labour government.
OK, and one last question, if we may, Theresa May. On the front of the Times this morning, another headline: Yorkshire teens slip the net to Syria. 2 more teenagers seemingly joining Islamic State. We really aren't getting a handle on this, are we? We're nearly not managed to control all these youngsters being disaffected and heading over there. The policies doesn't seem to be working.
Well, in fact, you know, quite a few people, what you don't see in the headlines are those young people who have been stopped from going to Syria, those young people whose families have stopped them from going, or perhaps where there has been an intervention. We've seen more families coming forward, for example, to the police, expressing concern about young people, about their children and what they might be doing and what they might be planning. And I would encourage families to do that. The earlier families express any concerns that they have, then the easier it is to do something about this and to ensure that young people are not going out there and not putting themselves into that position. So we have toughened up our policies. We have got extra legislation which was put through just obviously before Parliament dissolved to give the police and the law enforcement some extra powers to be able, for example, to temporarily remove people's passports at ports when they're leaving the country. But the key message, the two key messages to young people, actually, it is not the thing to do to go out to Syria, and for parents, the earlier you express any concerns you have about the fact that your children might be planning this, then the easier it is to do something about it.
OK, Theresa May, thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Thank you.